Hello boys and girls, welcome to YouTube! Today's something a little different. We're going to build RC10 1989 IFMA Masami Hirosaka edition re-release from Team Associated. You can see here I've done a little start on the build. Got all our tools set up. Next job is getting into the diff. Got those retro wheels with those Yokomo hubs. A little tricky because they're not the same as modern ones. Some upgrades, so from Berserk RC we've got carbon towers, carbon brace, we've got the RPM ball cup turnbuckles because the factory style ones are apparently very weak. Haven't got all the electrics and things yet, but yeah, we're going to do some diff, rear end, chassis, and then we got the classic 1989 RC10 body. The kit does come with Masami's own graphics, but it also does handily come with classic RC10 sticker set. So I'm going to be doing Martini Racing colors, custom stripes using the original sticker kit, and maybe at some point down the track I'll build up a second body, paint it green and do the Masami stickers. But let's see how we go. What do you think? Build laps? Build laps. There we go, folks. That is one 1989 Stealth transmission ready to bolt to the Masami chassis. So that's our transmission done. Now, get onto the rear suspension. So this is Riley. He's helping me do the rear arms now. So we're just finishing off these lower arms. Pretty exciting. It's coming together because next we start doing the chassis. What do you reckon, Riley? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to skip bag F, which is the shocks, because that's going to be a job for tomorrow. We have 4 corners and a transmission, which means next job is all the middle. So a little more progress here on the RC10 89 Stealth. You can see I mounted the LiPo holder. Now in the kit they include this brace to hold the battery on. I think it's heaps neater using the original style NiCad brace that they include. That's pretty sturdy, it's not going anywhere. Just the snap pins to get it off, and then you pop that side off first. Might take 2 hands, and then this comes out like so, and then you can remove the battery. Now what I also did is cut these little channels just so you can grip the LiPo, because mines are quite tight using these screw mounts. So here you go, LiPo in, out, clip on. You probably don't even need the snap pins, but they include them. I'll back that off a little bit. Makes it tricky to get under there. But you also don't want it coming off. So there you go, you probably don't need the snap pins, that's not going anywhere, but retro vibes. Put the pins That's definitely there. What do you think? Let's get some wing mounts on, and then I'm going to take a pause. So just taking a brief pause here. That's the complete buggy, minus shocks and electrics. Everything goes together pretty well. It's so different to a modern car with a lack of adjustments. Like you can see the arms, the hubs, there's like no different mounting points. You just got the different shock top positions, nothing at the bottom there. Same here, we've just got shock position top, nothing at the bottom. Oh no, there is two at the bottom there. So tiny bit of adjustment. You can move the battery forward and back. I've got it not quite as far forward as it can go, but pretty close. I'm going to put the speedo down the bottom low in that. It does come with this speedo mount, but I'm going to put it right down there. You can see we've got the Berserk carbon extras, makes it look a little nicer. So yeah, next job is build the shocks and then install the electrics. Also obviously you've got the battery position this way from the old school, but with the shorties you don't need that. This is just to mount the body these days. It's going to look pretty neat. There's the finished thing with Masami himself at Sydney, Australia, where we are. Okay, shock build time. Shock's possibly the most stressful part of an RC build, but also the most iconic part of the Masami 89 kit. Look at that front end. Nothing like the factory standard RC10. So let's go. So here's a little trick. The manual, bleeder shock cap. How to bleed using a bleeder shock cap. The kit, not bleeder shock caps. So apparently everyone in the forums has the same issue. So you got to bleed it old school, not like in the manual. There we go. 4 shocks, full Masami size. Full Masami size front. Ready to take to Sadias, where the main straight jump is pretty different to what it was in 1989, but still should do a pretty good job. So 30 weight oil, which is what's in the kit. Might tweak that a bit later. Now for final assembly. Okay folks, that is one complete RC10 1989 Stealth Worlds kit re-release, built and complete. So Berserk carbon upgrades on the brace, shock towers and the front brace. See the factory kit's a little naff with the fiberglass. Also we've got the RPM ball cups, because the factory ones are very weak and apparently they pop out the second you touch the edge of a track. First impressions, brings back a lot of memories. My RC10G from back in the day, my old toolkit here. A lot of similarities, but obviously the Masami prototype, the double deck chassis, the long front arms, narrow chassis at the front, and obviously the big travel for that big jump at the start of the straight at Sadias back in '89. It is pretty slick. These are going to be display wheels. I'm going to run modern size wheels and tyres, so I'll run the raw speed mini pins. I'll keep these ones just as display because wheels get all scratched up and look ugly. Yeah, lack of toe in on the rear is kind of annoying. Yeah, Grand Prix 3D do a replacement plastics kit that fixes that. Also slightly wider arms. You can see the front here is slightly narrower than the rear, only slightly, but they do an upgrade kit for that too. Yeah, no bleeder screws on the shocks, even though the manual says it should have them. But everyone on the forum says, yep, Masami didn't run bleeder screws, so the kit doesn't come with bleeder screws, but the instruction manual's wrong about that. Gonna run this as a race buggy, so I'll get some chassis protector, race tires, It's going to be running 21.5 class with Hobby Wing electrics, which I'll put in after I do the painting. But yeah, that's the kit complete. Next stop, the body. Not going to use these graphics, so we're going to go with the classic Team Associated and paint it up in Martini racing stripes. So that's next. Yo! Okay, so that's about 2 hours of masking. This is my B7 carpet kit, latest generation RC10 from Associated, with the Martini racing stripes. The idea is to do a retro matching version. It's going to be slightly different. We're going to have white along here with the red further up to go with the retro style stickers. Let's start painting. So while we're between coats of paint, let's compare the B7 and the 91 Masami stealth kit. So obviously front shocks super tall on the Masami. That was the famous thing that differed them from the standard RC10 production kit. Front width's kind of similar, our spacing. Obviously the big difference, motor in the middle of the B7, motor in the back of the Masami kit. Battery, well, you can run it horizontal or vertical. I'm going to run it vertical, which is kind of the kit position. That's how we used to run it back in the 80s and 90s. You could rotate it, run the cups that way. Rear end, drive shaft similar, but obviously the B7's a lot narrower there. Underneath kind of gives you a clear story of how they're different. The adjustable blocks here, a lot more adjustment in here, different size arms, offsets, whereas on the good old RC10 it's not a lot of options there. Less mounting points for the suspension, don't have the adjustable blocks. At the rear, super narrow. There's a bit wider there. 35 years of evolution. Alright, the light blue and the dark blue stripes are done. Next up, the red. That's the red and the blue done. That's looking pimped. Time for the white. Alright, that was a bit of a mission, but we're done. Paint. It's looking pimped. Just need to do cutting and stickers. And then the kit's complete. Minus electronics, of course. And there it is, folks. Team Associated RC10 1989 Masami edition stealth car with the stealth gearbox, with the prototype front end that Masami ran at the 1989 World Champs here in Sydney. Martini racing livery, retro graphics, retro tyres for the moment, but I will put on some modern tyres for racing. What do you think? And we line that up with the modern B7 with the matching Martini graphics. That came out pretty badass, huh? 35 years old, current generation. Sick. That's been my RC10 Masami 89 edition build video. What do you think? Probably a little more boring than my usual stuff, but something to do. Catch you then. You!